Perfect. Well, welcome. We're here, the Green Burial Chronicles with Morgan Oaks. Today we have Melissa Washington. I'm super excited to have you. We've built a really cool partnership in the last few months when I
Yes.
hunted you down.
Yes, you did.
And Melissa is with the Women Veterans Alliance. So some of you may or may not have seen on our social media, we did an event with you. But before we dive into all the things, first, tell me a little bit about you personally and how you kind of got to this point.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me on this
Yes.
podcast. I served in the United States Navy. My husband's a retired Marine. And a little over 10 years ago, I was looking for opportunity to network with other women in more of a professional
Mhm,
setting.
mhm.
And I got about 20 women together at what was El Torito's across from Arden Mall.
Yes.
And a lot of people remember that. It's
Yep.
not no longer there. And what was the third Thursday of the month meetup has turned into a global organization.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
So, who were these 20 women? Just like 20 women that were in that served?
That served, yes.
Okay.
So I knew a few of them, and then I shared it on social media that December, and other people shared it. And here these women gathered at this big table at El Torito's, and we could have shut that restaurant down.
So
It
cool.
it was officer enlisted. I mean, we were laughing, crying. It was just one of those, just that
Yeah.
connectivity where women wanted that and they wanted
Mhm.
more.
Mhm.
And that day they agreed, okay, the third Thursday, I said, okay, well, I'm going to find another spot for us to meet. And we'll get a speaker. And we just kept going and just stayed to that.
It's kind of like the idea of if you build it, they will come, and you had
Yes.
a vision. Okay, so that's you, married. You live in
I
Lincoln.
live in Lincoln.
How long have you been building this alliance? You
So
said
10 years, this will be 10 years.
right. So, and we celebrated the 10-year at Morgan Oaks. That was
Yes, we
great.
did, we
So cool.
did.
So tell me, okay, so what inspired you? Obviously, you said you were looking for a need. But like, what is the Alliance? What does it do? Who does it serve? Give us like the big picture. What's your mission?
Yep. The easiest thing I tell people is we're providing community
Mm,
for women, whether she's in uniform or out of uniform.
okay.
That connectivity piece,
Mm,
whether it's getting her connected to resources, getting her connected to each other. I mean, it's so important for us nowadays to have
mhm,
that community and that sense of belonging. And where women and more than one woman is a woman has told me this is I feel like I can take my mask off when I come here. I can
mm,
be myself. And it doesn't matter, enlisted or officer.
yeah.
It's a lot of the same struggles. It doesn't matter what branch, even though we may not know some of the same acronyms
Mhm,
that other branches have. There's just there's this thread that's
mhm,
woven between all of us. I mean, all of us volunteered to serve. We all
yeah.
have similar experiences, and some of us have vastly different
Mhm,
experiences. But it's important to continue that and have that community for that whatever people call it, whether tribe of sisters or
mm,
whichever, to have that because women feel just women in general, right? It's easier to talk woman to woman,
sure.
and especially if a woman is not utilizing her benefits, it's easier for her to hear it from another woman,
Mhm,
which is great. And that's why I would love when we get together, at a restaurant or wherever we would get together, and you have, everyone's telling, I'm so and so, I served here, I did this,
yeah.
and they're like, oh, I was there, in whatever time I was there,
Yeah.
and then they'll start talking about, oh, I'm using these benefits, and then
Mm,
someone's there like, oh, I didn't know I qualified for those or
yeah.
I earned. So that's right. So it's you get these women start talking about that. And then they're like, okay, well, then maybe I can go, or who do I need to talk to? And then they're like, oh, you should talk to so and so. They can help you do that.
I love that. So it's networking, it's community, just a support system. Um, and I think we talked previously, like if they're looking for work, you have a network where like, hey, maybe this is a good fit. I mean, it's who you know.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's so important. So what do like your guys' meetups look like? Do you go to a restaurant? Is it like a Zoom call? Like what do you guys do to create that community?
So before COVID, we had our monthly
Okay.
meetups, and the Sacramento group got so large we split off to other ones.
Amazing.
But then COVID happened, things changed. So
Right.
we really after COVID, we really didn't build that chapter model up like we had
Mm-hmm.
before. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff we were doing webinars,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, like 2020, everybody's on a webinar. 21,
Mm-hmm.
everyone. And then we started seeing a lot of people not have a lot of interest
Mm-hmm.
in the webinar. So a lot of it's just more just kind of a one-off
Okay.
like where we meet up or there's different events that we might be invited to and there'll be other women veterans and then partnering with other organizations
Sure.
and we do that very well. On our website we have an allies directory and these are organizations in other states and actually some even here in California that predominantly serve women. So that way we
Mm,
can get her connected in other areas with another organization. Granted, they may not be doing the same exact thing we're doing, but they are doing the same thing because they're helping to support
sure.
women.
I love it. Okay, cool. And so at Morgan Oaks, we talk a lot about legacy and
Yes.
remembrance and peace. And how do you see those values reflected in your work with veterans and their families?
Well, I feel legacy is very important.
Mhm.
That's one key thing too that I've been talking to a lot of women about is our what's our legacy? What's
Mhm.
as things are being erased, what are we doing to
Mhm.
make sure things, in our lives are continuing to be there?
Sure.
Um, and one of the things too is, we have the Women's Memorial in Washington, D.C.,
Mhm.
where our women can get registered. And I
Mhm.
always tell women, hey, get registered. Also, too, if your mom or your aunt or your grandma served in the military, you can register her.
Awesome.
So right, so that way we have this compository, right, of all these women and their photos and their stories
So cool.
as we're, because there's things you don't hear about,
Yeah.
right? Like just in these last couple years, you hear about the 6888. I mean, they just had the movie on Netflix, but I
Mhm.
knew about it before then, just the last few years, about the women of color that served overseas during World War
Mhm.
II to sort through millions of pieces of mail.
Right.
Nobody knew about that. Not even really, nobody knew about that till the last few years.
Yeah.
And then thankfully, Tyler Perry created the movie on Netflix, which people started watching it. So it's like, how do we make sure that our stories are told from our perspective?
Sure.
And we don't want other people to tell our story. Another veteran can't tell a veteran's
Right.
story.
Right.
And so that's why women, we need to step up and making sure that we're heard and we're seen, telling our story so people know. And that's also part of the legacy. You have, in Lincoln, there's that Veterans
I was
Monument.
going to ask you about that.
That's another place where we can have
Mhm.
legacy. I was on the board before it even started and, the groundbreaking and getting that put together. And I wanted to make sure that women were represented at that monument. So
Mhm.
when you do go, you will see women on there. I have my plaque there, and then right next to one side is my dad, and one side is my husband. So all
Ah,
three of us are right there
so cool.
because I want to make sure when young girls go or women, just anybody goes, like, oh wow, here's a woman.
Yeah. I think that's so important. And the other thing, so like as we talk about creating legacy there, one of the things at Morgan Oaks is we want to have stories to tell too. And so, creating a place for families to watch a video to say, oh my gosh, that was Stephanie, and these are all the things she loved, and I can do it. And so creating video tributes and just a place to say, hey, go look at my plaque on this wall or go visit this. And I think that's so smart because otherwise there's some statistic where like after 2 generations, you're forgotten and your story will never be told. And so it's creating relationships to be like, okay, Melissa, how do we make sure that these veterans are, when they're laid to rest at Morgan Oaks specifically, because that's where I'm at, how do we ensure that their story gets told?
Hmm.
Because we want to have history. I want to say, oh my gosh, this person did this, and this is why this is important. So I love that that's important. Um, what benefit do you see for veterans at a place like Morgan Oaks? Because it is different. It is. Not like the normal places that they would go.
Definitely. Well, you have to experience it first
Yeah.
while you're alive.
Yes, true, true.
Right? Because in having been there, I mean, the tranquility, the place to have
Mhm.
that connection to others, um, in that space. And I just keep going back to the word tranquil. Well, because I feel also too, it's easier to maybe easier to make that connection with the
Mhm.
loved one when
Mhm.
you're there. And that's so important. And I'm sure a lot of people don't know about the whole veterans section that you have
I
over
know.
there in, honoring our military, which I love that.
Yeah.
And having that. And, and that's another thing too, is there are a lot of cemeteries where veterans are forgotten about and just
Mhm.
traditional cemeteries
Mhm.
where nobody's visited them or
Mm.
their headstone, it's dirty, nobody's ever done anything. And I know there's a lot of organizations like the Boy Scouts and
Mhm.
American
Mhm.
Legion. I know the Daughters of American Revolution, which I'm also a member of, takes that and goes to the different cemeteries to
Sure.
do that. But you don't know their stories.
Mhm.
You just see the headstone and it happens to have maybe Army or Navy on it,
Mm.
so or I might have their rank listed on there.
Yeah.
But it's important to know those stories of those people.
Yeah. And I think it is important, our veterans section, because right now, let's say someone lives in Lincoln, their options are the Dixon Cemetery,
Yep.
correct? What
Mhm.
other options do they have?
Locally, well, I mean, if they wanna go to Monterey, because there's federal cemeteries and then there's state
Hmm.
cemeteries that are
Okay.
veteran, or you can just go to any
Yeah.
cemetery,
Yeah.
right? So it just depends upon the veteran's preference, and I think that's important too. For well, I'm sure you know, talking to people is for veterans to have that listed of what they want done when they go,
Yes.
so that way their loved ones know this is what I want, but also too this is what you need to do, because there's certain things that veterans receive
Yes.
or don't receive
Hmm.
that families don't know about. So this is where veterans need to get on the ball.
Hmm.
Whether you're 25 or
Yes.
8, this is what you need to tell your people when you go. This is what you want, and having those options. Like I have my options clearly laid out. So
Good.
when I go,
Thank you.
yes, but I'm going to see. So
Yeah, but still, at least your family knows. And there's already so much grief and passing. And
absolutely.
so pre-planning is so important. And so one of the things that we created at Morgan Oaks, we had some buy-in from military people to like help us understand veterans, what is important. And I think one of the biggest things is when I go to a veteran cemetery like the Dixon one or anywhere, it's you and your spouse.
Hmm.
And then unfortunately, your other loved ones have to go somewhere else. And so at Morgan Oaks, we created one of the best places on the property. The best tree on all the property is there. But it's for you and all your loved ones. And so what I love about that is creating that legacy. Is now it's not just me and my spouse, but it's my kids, my family, my grandma, my grandpa. And so now we've created this legacy where just recently we laid, a gentleman to rest, and now it's the family's growing. And so for us, that's so cool. And they're so grateful because it's not just them and now their loved ones are out somewhere
Hmm.
else. They all get to be together. And that's really cool for us as generations come to, they can say, oh, look, there's mom, there's dad, there's grandma, great grandpa, instead of being like, oh my gosh, how do we find everybody? Which I
Absolutely.
think is so cool. So as far as veterans, do you think that most veterans are aware of what is offered to them, and where to find it?
Yes. The answer is I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I would say the same thing.
Um, Whether it's regarding, your death benefits, or, if you're retired. I mean, there's so many veteran earned benefits that we have
Yeah.
that we don't know about. I mean, there's things I learn, and I'm in this space all day.
Mhm.
Do I know a lot? Yes. And I always like to share those different benefits that are available, but it's hard if you're not interested in going to school, and maybe you're not going to know about that benefit.
Right.
But you got to get registered with the VA. And one of the things too I always like to share is most of the time civilians think that we're taken care of when we get out of the
Mm.
military. Like, oh, the VA. No, for some it's an uphill battle.
Mhm.
It's not just okay, I'm going to go in, complete this form, and
Mhm.
I'm in. So it's important for veterans to take that process and do that process to get their rating, if they have qualified for VA healthcare, because then once you're there,
Mhm.
then there's all these other benefits that are there. But a lot of times they're not going to tell you, or they do tell you, but you just put it aside.
Right. Yeah, and that brings me to a point where you said, I'm thinking, okay, let's say you're a veteran and you don't have anything in place. And now I've had a lot of families come to me and say, oh my gosh, my dad passed and he was a veteran. We're scrambling because we have no idea
Hmm.
what to do.
Yeah.
And so if you're a veteran listening and you haven't planned something, their case might be a little bit more complicated than just the average person, because I don't have all these other things that I either qualify for or certain things that I need to know. As a loved one, I may not know that. The DD 214 form. People are like, what is that? And I'm like, the only reason I know what it is because I have to ask for it.
Absolutely.
But if you're a veteran and you don't leave that somewhere with someone, now they're scrambling to get it.
Definitely.
So pre-planning is so important, specifically for our veterans. And the other thing I love about having a group, you said it in the first thing, a specific area for our veterans is community.
Mm.
I have so many people that come and say, I want to be with my people. Like, I want to know that we're all together as one. And that warms my heart because you all get to be together and it does create community. You could walk through those rows and see where everybody served. And I love that. So we're trying to create that community too. Okay, so my other question is, what are some misconceptions that families have about VA benefits when it comes to burial? Like, is there anything that they think, oh,
Well,
I didn't know?
Well, and you could probably answer this better than I can dealing with that is I think a lot of people think, "Oh, you're gonna be taken care of when you
Mm,
die. You're gonna get all of this, right?
mhm.
You get the flag, you get the headstone, you
Yeah.
get the burial, you get all these." But sometimes that's not even the case.
Mm,
So it's just again, that's why it's the onus needs to be put on the veteran, even if he's, he or she's Vietnam veteran,
yes.
Korean, they need to take that responsibility to make sure that they have their stuff together so that way their spouse or their children can
Mhm.
best make sure they're getting the benefits. And one of the great things too, especially in our area, Placer County has an awesome veteran service
Mhm.
office.
Mm.
Fantastic. They're
Fantastic.
and I've worked with a lot of different veteran offices,
Uh-huh.
and I'm granted I may be a little biased because I am
Sure.
here and I I am on the Placer County Veterans Advisory Council, but um, that's the best place to go. So if there are people listening that maybe they're not the veteran, but they're the spouse or the
Mhm.
caregiver,
Mhm.
go there, then they can help guide you of what you'll need for that, so to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And they help all people. It's not just veterans. They get family members that come into that office.
Yeah, they've been so like warm and welcoming, and grateful for what we offer. So tell us, for the non-listener, that the people listening that are not veterans, what is a typical service for a veteran? Because you guys get special things that happen typically.
Typically.
And so then I'll hit on what we do at Morgan Oaks. But what's typical?
Well, again, it depends upon how if they're service connected and they passed. I mean, there's all these. So
Okay.
it's not a one size fits all,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
think that's where the misconception
Mm,
is.
okay.
As far as what they get, I mean, there's the basics, but there could be additional things, and also too, not even just the burial, also the benefits that come to the spouse.
Mm, mhm.
But you gotta be registered, right? That's the thing, and
Yeah.
that's, and I tell a lot, especially like the Vietnam vet guys,
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't need that." But what about your
Yeah.
spouse?
Your loved ones, for sure.
They're not thinking about that. That's
Mhm.
why you gotta at least do the basics and get
Mhm.
registered, so at least you have that. So now you're buried, but then what's next for
Sure.
him or her?
Yeah.
And that's extremely important.
It is. And I want all the listeners to know that whatever they qualify for or would be at like a Dixon cemetery or whatever, we do that too. And typically the funeral home will work with us to prepare the flag, have the color guard, whoever needs to be out there. We will obviously do all of that. So, it's not just like, oh, sorry, unfortunately, we're not a Dixon cemetery, so we can't. So, whatever. But again, most people are like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to have at this. So, I think if anyone's listening, they heard get registered for sure. If nothing else, you're registered and now you can make those decisions when you're ready.
Absolutely, that's the key thing. It's like, do you have you mentioned the color guard? Do you have the different a branch of service come? I mean, there's so many other things that you could qualify for, but
Right.
again, just getting registered with the VA, it makes your life easier as well as your loved
Yes,
ones.
thank you. Okay, going back to the Women Veterans Alliance,
Hmm.
you said something, and I think we brushed over it.
Yes.
She said, if you weren't listening, globally. So
Yes.
she lives in Lincoln, but globally. What does that look like?
So what that looks like is two things. One, we have military bases that are
Yep.
overseas, and servicemen and women transition out of those bases all the time. So what does that look like for her that she might be stationed in Germany or she's in Japan and getting ready to transition out? So now we're able to connect with her as she goes through the transition assistance program where our information is provided
Mm,
through the program that they have. It's EMPP program. And now she gets our information
wow.
and she can connect with us. If she authorizes, we get her information, then we're able to outreach to her to say, hey, we're here, right? And how comforting is that to know, okay, someone is there.
Yeah.
We're not the government, but we're here. However you need us. And now you're going to get our emails and get our updates. We can, again, back to the allies directory where it's
Hmm.
like, okay, well, maybe you're moving back to Texas or North Carolina or somewhere
Yeah.
else. Here's some organizations for you to tap into. So we have that piece of U.S. Service women, and then also too we're connected with other veteran groups in other countries,
Hmm.
and that's our global alliance. So we meet monthly. So this is the UK. It's pretty much it's the Five Eyes and others. So you got Canada is on the call, the UK, Australia, Scotland, Northern Wales. We had Ukraine,
Wow.
ladies from Ukraine military on there. So we have others on there, and we're just we're it's the same issues that they have,
Hmm.
same struggles
Yeah.
that we have here that they have. It's always funny because I just say, well, it's just a different accent.
Yeah, it's
They're
true.
saying the same. They're saying the same stuff. I'm like, okay, and I mean, we are far more advanced
Yeah.
than they are, but also too sharing best practices. If we can share with them, like, okay, well, this is a toolkit we used, or this is something that can help benefit them. But it's really interesting learning about the other branches of
Sure.
services, like the services that qualify once they get out, or they consider veterans, not veterans. I mean, there's all these different things, but it's just great to have. Sometimes a call could be 2 hours,
Sure.
and it's a productive
Yeah.
really productive call where you just really want to learn more and how we can help women across the globe.
I love that. So crazy. I'm for the listeners, if you're just listening and not watching, I'm mesmerized by what you've created because to be global, to be someone who built something with just a small vision at an El Torito table. Um, and I love that you're serving women, right? And it says a lot, but you're serving women, their families, and globally. Like, I can only imagine coming out of something like that. I mean, I'm grateful for all the men and women who've served. I love the military. My son's in the Navy. And
Yes.
so I think it's beautiful what you've all given up. And so, my thing is I want to give back as much as we can from a business, from a personal standpoint. And so what you've created is just absolutely beautiful. And I hope that if anybody's listening today that is looking for services, that they can call you and just, so what does that look like? If someone's like, "Oh my gosh, like I want to be a part of this," do they just go to your website? Do they call you? How does someone reach out to your
Yeah,
group?
they can call. They can just Google Women Veterans Alliance.
Okay.
100% guarantee you we're going
And
to
we'll
pop
post
up.
it. Yep.
Yeah, it'll pop up on the page. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Pinterest.
Everything. Yeah.
Yes, we're out there. So, and I get calls from women that might be the spouse. I get calls from parents. I get calls
Right.
just from anybody. I mean, we'll answer your call,
Hmm.
and then we'll get you. I like to do like a warm handoff.
Okay.
I'm not going to say, "Oh, I can't help you." I'm going to say, "Okay, well, call here." A lot of times we're referring people back to the county veteran service
Hmm.
office because
Hmm.
I mean, they can look at stuff that we don't have access
Sure.
to. Or if, a lot of times we'll get a call if somebody wants to donate clothes. I mean, we don't accept
Sure.
that kind of stuff. Or one lady called one time, they wanted to donate a piano. But then I just put it back into the little network I
Yeah.
have, and then someone will be able to get that.
I love that. So you're screening these calls too. So they're not calling. I think my vision and what I see so often in here is like it's this endless trying to get a hold of someone to help. And so it's like it's nice to be able to say, "Oh my gosh, I have this group that's going to direct me and warm. Oh, they heard me. I'm being
Heard,
heard. And now
absolutely.
I can go here." And the other thing I was thinking too as you spoke, obviously veterans have different types of trauma than we do. And so I love Morgan Oaks too because it's a place where you can just be serene and at nature, and not that you need that, but I think everybody needs that, and
Hmm.
it's just a different peaceful setting. And so for listeners, if you haven't been there, like Melissa said, go there. To see it is to believe it. I truly believe. And so as we kind of wrap up here, Melissa, is there anything that you'd like to say to the listeners, or that we as cemeteries and in the field of pre-planning or death, that we could do better for your community?
Well, the pre-planning, I feel you're doing a great job getting into our
Thanks.
community and the veteran
Yeah,
community.
trying to.
That's the best thing to do
Mhm.
is, getting, you're connected with the county veteran service office,
Mhm.
going to the different, not even just the posts, because I mean they're a very small
Mhm.
representation of our,
Mhm.
our population, but looking at other events that
Yeah.
are veterans, there's a Veterans of Sacramento group. I mean, there's these other groups that have formed, and a
Mhm.
great way to connect with the veterans, but also too you got the connection too with the families.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Yeah, and we're really trying to let people know what we offer, just to know it's there as an option. And so really that's our hope and how we can serve you. So, yeah, and then any last thoughts on your alliance that you want the
No,
listeners to
I
know?
mean, if you're a woman who served, one thing, you are a veteran,
Mhm.
and feel free to connect with us. And if you haven't served or you just want to find more information how you can help, or you have
Yeah.
a spouse or a parent or something, more than happy. My dad is a Vietnam veteran, and I'm his caregiver
Mhm.
in a
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
And I've learned a lot about the benefits when it comes to
Mm.
caregiver benefits as well as those benefits that are provided. And again, those are not easy. It's not like you just pick up the
Right.
phone and boom, you're approved.
Right.
It takes time, and you're having to maneuver through that and utilizing the right terminology to be able to get those services.
Yeah, and I think if you're a listener and you're not a veteran or you don't support someone and you just want a place to serve, like what a great place, or donate, or like what could you do to help this community? I think would be so great. So thank you for that. And for listeners also, just know we'll have your website and your contact and things so they know how to get a hold of you. You guys, she's not hard to find on the internet.
No,
She's
not.
kind of a big deal. So um I love what you're doing.
Thank
And
you.
any way that Morgan Oaks can support you and your group and your community, you always have my ear, and we'll do whatever we can. But thank you so much for coming out today and sharing your story. I'm super excited to have this partnership. Like I said, I stalked you down, Googled you, and then tracked her down. So, listeners, also, if you are following us or starting to follow us, we have a new and improved Instagram. It's beautiful. So, it's Morgan Oaks EP. We're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on all the things now too. So thank you for listening. Walk gently, remember deeply, and celebrate the legacy of life. Thanks so much, guys.